15th time in franchise history. Back in studio with the fellas, Joe Musso, always pleased to be alongside my guys, two-time Super Bowl champ Bryant McFadden, and our guy, Jonathan Jones, lead NFL insider in as well. Fellas, this was, I want to say one-sided, but a much closer football game because of the lack of ball security on both sides. Let's go good here first. New England's performance was something to behold here, specifically on the defensive side of the ball, Mac.
Once again, their defense dominated. We saw them dominate in the first round against the Chargers. They took advantage of some issues on the offensive line for the Los Angeles Chargers, and they took over for 4 quarters. We saw the same game plan in terms of execution show up today there for the Patriots defensively. And then we saw their ability to take the football away. They made life very, very difficult for C.J. Stroud. When they weren't creating interceptions, C.J. Stroud never got comfortable in the pocket. And we knew their offensive line, the Houston Texans, that is, would have issues because they've had struggles the entire season, to say the least. But the way they got dominated today, JJ, it was unbelievable. I mean, they couldn't run the football. Woody Marks had 14 carries for 17 yards. He basically, a yard a carry, to say the least, and that's dominating football. So we highlight the Patriots and we start the conversation off with Drake Maye. Deserving so because he's played like an MVP caliber player. But their defense cannot and should not be overlooked because they're playing some of their best football in the more critical moments of their season.
You know, Drake Maye has played like an MVP caliber player up until this game. I thought this was Drake Maye's worst game of the season. And they were able to win in spite of that, right? Yeah. The giveaways, he's been a little loose with the football. He's going to have to clean that up when they go to Mile High and play the Denver Broncos next week. But that said, look, he still had a quarterback rating of 100.7. That's how great Drake Maye has been this season, right? And obviously, it didn't help that his left tackle, Will Campbell, he may not see a guy like Will Anderson Jr. and Daniil Hunter moving forward, right? But Nick Bonito is pretty good, right? And so he's going to have to get that cleaned up. Let's go ahead and start with that with the New England Patriots. This defense, what they were able to do because, and I know we're going to get into C.J. Stroud, but because the Houston Texans couldn't really complete the forward pass, they were able to just load the box and stop the run. And again, you may be able to do that next week against the Denver Broncos and a backup in Jared Stidham, right? That may be the sort of game plan that we see another week from now. But if the New England Patriots want to get back to the Super Bowl and keep the good times going, I do want to see cleaner football moving forward from the offense.
Yeah, your point, statistically supported, not just in this game, but in the wild card round as well. Drake Maye in the wild card round, 2 fumbles, 1 of those lost. Drake Maye here in this game, 4 fumbles, 2 of those lost. So putting the ball on the ground 6 times in the playoffs over a 2-game span is not the winning formula that you want to see, but it is still a learning experience. It is still year 2, headed to a championship Sunday, as Bo Nix should be, and as Jaden Daniels did a year ago. That class is certainly doing something special to this point. I want to go all the way back to what we were saying about this group week 1, maybe coming into this season, that, we want to see Drake Maye develop, and that we have, but is there enough around him? And time and again, they show us that not just that there's enough, but that talent has developed over the last 4 months as well. How have you seen the Patriots get the most out of their playmakers?
Guys, week 1, do you remember who the Patriots played?
They played at home against the Las Vegas Raiders and lost.
Who won? And the Raiders won that ball game. You talk about developing. No, if you just watch or just look at their record, Joe, that answers the question. They've developed in a masterful way. Week 1, they lost to the Las Vegas Raiders. It feels like that was 3 years ago. No, that was 2025. But the ability of Vrabel and his staff to get the guys together, to be able to, one of the uglier losses in the National Football League, and just forget about it and now focus on the new task at hand has been great to watch. And you look at the young quarterback, because yes, we all came into this season asking the same question. Is there enough surrounding Drake Maye? But when you have a really good quarterback, he makes the others look better because of his ability to be efficient and become a playmaker, and that's what we're seeing. Now, we still have some concerns and reservations about the offensive line, particularly the left side, because we saw Will Campbell struggle last week against the Chargers, against Khalil Mack, and we knew we knew it was going to be struggles. But it was really bad for Will Campbell. And it's not going to get any easier because he has to go on the road, first time ever in his career, playing on the road to protect his quarterback blind side. But to answer your question, yes, I really love seen the development for everyone. Even Stephon Diggs has revitalized his career. Hunter Henry.
Yep.
Think about some of these guys that have become big-time playmakers for their offense.
And let's talk about that, because for the last year and a half, we were talking about how the New England Patriots needed to go trade for a wide receiver.
Yes.
They wanted to go get Brandon Ayuk, right? Oh, could they trade for A.J. Brown? They are getting enough out of Keyshawn Boutte. They are getting enough out of the revitalized Stephon Diggs.
Kyle Williams, Douglas.
Right? Pop Douglas getting that touchdown today. You got the tight ends, of course, Hooper and Henry doing their thing. I'll be honest, I didn't expect this sort of season out of Steph Diggs.
Yeah.
Coming off the knee, I did not see, and he had that great all-hands catch for the touchdown. Ramondre Stevenson, you want to talk about development, he was putting the ball on the deck all the time in September.
Yes, he
right?
was.
And Mike Vrabel stuck with him.
Yes,
and
he
he
did.
said, I'm going to trust you. And now look at him. He has 16 carries for 70 yards in this one. Travion Henderson figuring things out. And then Drake Maye. Again, you want to see better ball from Drake Maye moving forward, protect the football more. But you talk about guys developing around. They helped win this game for the New England Patriots because they didn't make mistakes even though their quarterback did.
With the 3 seats filled at this point where we sit and speak, we're talking about year 1 Vrabel, year 3 Peyton, and if I'm not mistaken, year 3 in McDonald as well in Seattle. Getting these cultures applied and in place and in short order here by Mike Vrabel, getting the most out of his team. And again, it comes back to the defense taking the ball away. They were certainly given opportunities to do so today by C.J. Stroud. And Mac, you made the point that 4 first-half interceptions sort of brings you together at halftime to say, what are we best suited doing here in the second half? Do we have the right personnel on the field, the best, most prepared personnel to take us to a competitive end to this game? They decide that that's C.J. Stroud. But after 4 interceptions, it's the look in the eye that almost makes you worry a bit more. What did you make of C.J.'s performance and his demeanor throughout it?
It was a very, very tough performance for C.J. Stroud. And I'd like to go back to the very, very first pass for C.J. Stroud. It was a play action, simple boot, I think, to his right side, and he just one-hopped an open wide receiver. I mean, that's basically throwing on air for quarterbacks when you look at how open the pass catcher was. And the first thing I said was, it seems like he's not there. And of course, it followed with another mishap. Now, I understand he was under duress the entire ball game, but the routine throws, you have to be able to make these routine throws and make them routinely, and we never seen that. And after the first interception, the second interception, it was almost like he was going into a shell. One thing I didn't like personally, being a former player, and when I played, anytime there's a moment where there's in-the-play adversity for a player, I need someone to come, or a coach or a player to come to him on the sideline and say, bruh, let's get it.
We got you.
It's no different than if one of us had a bad show. Let's go, man.
Yeah.
Bounce back. We know you got it. We're here because of you. We're here because of what you've done. No one really rallied to him on the sideline. Anytime they put the camera on C.J. Stroud, he was by himself. That's the last place you want to be alone when you are going through a horrible outing in the football, in the midst of a playoff game. But I can say this, though. In 2 playoff games this season, he has 7 turnovers. 7 turnovers. That tells you how good his defense is, because even today with him, the 4 interceptions, they still had a shot to win this ball game. So they got to look from within, because what we saw from C.J. his rookie year has been digression.
Sometimes you can see confidence or lack thereof in ball location. That's what I'm looking for in some of these games. C.J. Stroud, I'm not sure, targeted a receiver above the waist. JJ, this was dirt and footballs. This was nose of the ball, diving at the ground, guys having to make big plays just to get something out of this offense. Where was the disconnect early on, and why did it continue?
Yeah, so he looked shook starting out in this game, and he had struggled with turnovers before the concussion midseason. Remember, Davis Mills goes in there because he was trying to put so much on himself. And so he was struggling with turnovers. He gets concussed. Davis Mills comes in, plays really well for those 3 or so games. He comes back, and it seemed like he was able to see that his team could carry the load without him trying to be Superman. And then he played really well for the rest of the season, up until really these last couple of weeks. And so I saw a continuation of playoff C.J. Stroud, unfortunately. You also have to take into account, and we have to be fair to C.J. Stroud, that he didn't have Nico Collins.
Yeah.
That Dalton Schultz goes out with a calf injury very early in this game, and then later on he loses another tight end. The offensive line has been hit or miss, but started to congeal a little bit as the season went along. And I think, lastly, the point that I would also make is you want to make sure that he's being put in the correct spots. And I don't mean this about the offensive coordinator necessarily, but D'Amico Ryans in the second half, as it seemed like C.J. Stroud was starting to level out, right, and not turn the football over. What did we see on, I think it was 3rd and 2, 4th and 2? They kicked the field goal when they were down 11. This is as close as you're going to get to the end zone, probably, the way your offense is playing. They're at the New England 7. Decided to take the 3. I understand taking the points. B-Mac, you may disagree with me on this, but the offense is incapable of actually getting into the end zone, and you're going to need a touchdown at some point. I would have liked to have seen them go for it, but at least not call a timeout there. And then called a timeout later on, and then punting with 4 minutes left. There were a couple coaching decisions when you know how your quarterback is playing, how you know how this offense is going, and you maybe want to do something differently.
That divisional round ceiling remains for the Houston Texans. As for the other side of this one, the New England Patriots, no ceilings, as they return to their 16th championship Sunday to match
Shouts out to Wing.
the all-time leaders in the Pittsburgh Steelers. Mac, you got to share the stage now a little bit. 16 championship
I don't like
Sunday.
it.
That do something?
I don't like it.
That do something to you? Legends only here, and we're going to try and write a new one with Drake Maye.